Oligopoly. That's what we are going to talk about today. Oligopoly is the market structure around which the best of the business strategies are formed. If you are in a perfectly competitive market, you can't have much of business strategy as such. You just master the art of doing it and that's it. You don't have to fight with any rivals as such because anyway, the demand is unlimited. Similar thing is true as far as monopolistic competition is concerned. You try to retain your market share of say 10% or 15% or things like that. But more than that, you don't fight with each one of them. If you are Colgate, then you don't have strategy for Vico versus Promise versus Close Up versus whatever. It's not worth it to fight so many enemies. Business strategies are required only to make sure that your brand gets known and people buy your thing. That's all monopolistic competition people do. That they want that brand to be known. Oligopoly, on the other hand, can have lot of business strategies because you can control 25% of the market, 35% of the market, 50%, whatever. So when you know that you can control more and more, and by controlling more and more, you are going to be reaping the economies of scale. You know this. When you know this, you come out with a lot of business strategies. So that's what oligopoly is all about. You know your enemy. You know the people who are the players in the market, because the players in the market are not more than 4 to 5. Whether you are submitting a tender or whatever it is that you are doing, you have only a few rivals. And that is what distinguishes oligopoly from everybody else. Okay. So now let me tell you some interesting things about oligopoly. First of all, I think I didn't share it. Just one second. Sorry. Okay. So you have only a few sellers. As I said, typically not more than 5 to 6. In petroleum industry, yes, it is an oligopoly, but you have about 15 to 20 manufacturers. But then petroleum is something which is a necessity. So it's a different ballgame altogether. But otherwise, you have few sellers and many buyers. The equilibrium is once again attained at MC is equal to MR. But if you remember, in perfectly competitive market, you always attain equilibrium where your AC is at its minimum. I told you that as far as monopoly is concerned, it can be either the cost might be decreasing, it might be the lowest point, or it might be increasing. It just depends on the capacity of the plant of the manufacturer versus the market demand. Okay, so you can't be very sure where the curve would be as far as a monopolist is concerned. But as far as the oligopolists are concerned, it is often a case, or the probability is high, that you are operating slightly below your capacity. See, if you are not operating below your capacity, there is no point in winning over clients from the other competitors, because you anyway don't have capacity to produce. So that means that you have to have excess capacity. Only when you have excess capacity, you would want more clients. So typically, as far as oligopoly is concerned, the average cost curve is usually declining where MC is equal to MR. And what that means is that if these firms were to come together, then maybe the cost will be lower because the economies of scale will be reaped. But it is not possible because of the market structure. Okay? So AC is declining. So production is often at a cost which is higher than the lowest cost. Okay. So that's why I've said, hence the race for getting more clients. And when you are trying to get more clients, and I told you about the case of Pepsi versus Coke, that how did Pepsi won the war? By, well, not really won the war, but won a market share, which was substantial, by reducing the price. Price wars are very, very common as far as oligopoly is concerned. I'll give you some examples and you will immediately identify with it. Airlines. You must have seen that airlines tickets are sold based on prices. Right now, the government has standardized the prices, and that's why you see the prices almost the same. But pro-COVID times, if you were to book a flight, you would find that the prices are very different. Everyone tries to reduce the price to attract that person to you, because whichever travel website you choose, whether it is Ease My Trip, Clear Trip, Make My Trip, Yatra, whatever it is, the lowest price flight is shown first. Okay, so price wars. You reduce your price so that you can grab more clients. And you grab more clients, your cost of operating declines, your profits can increase. Okay, you reap more economies of scale. So people do indulge into price wars very often as far as oligopoly is concerned. The other thing that happens is also that when people are reducing the prices, that is not just to get the market share, but to make sure that this firm gets out of business. So when this firm gets out of business, then you can increase your prices. So you are trying to put some people out of business also. That is another objective of oligopoly. But because of all of this, what happens is that if 4 players are there in the market, one reduces the price, so the others reduce the price. Then the other one reduces the price further, everybody else reduces the price. So everybody is reducing. So there is a race to go further down, and how much losses you can bear. That's what the race becomes. How deep pockets you have. At the end, what happens is this: the entire industry becomes sick. Airline, for example, is an industry which for quite some time had become so sick that not a single airline in the entire world was making a lot of profits. So the entire industry becomes sick. Well, the thing is that the government can't really afford to have sick industry as far as aviation sector is concerned. So then the government steps in, brings together all the oligopolies and tells them that, look, now I am passing a regulation that nobody can reduce the prices further. And then they save the industry. So some kind of intervention is needed when these price wars become very bitter and very intense. Okay, but oligopoly is characterized by price wars, and sick industries do happen in oligopoly. It's not an impossibility at all. The entire industry becomes sick. So this is oligopoly, and then somebody has to step in to mend the entire thing. So if you look at the demand curve, I told you that in monopoly, the demand curve is the AR. So average revenue is equal to the demand curve. As far as oligopoly is concerned, people say that oligopoly has kink demand curve. There is a kink. So this is, say, the market price. Now, if anybody tries to increase the price, then what happens is that the curve is very elastic. You increase the price just from here to here and your quantity will drop down a lot. ठीक है? सिर्फ इतना सा price increase and the quantity increase is already almost 10 times more. So you increase the price a little of your plane tickets or of your bus tickets or whatever, and the quantity that you sell comes down far more. Okay, so the curve is very elastic because you have intense competition. The moment you try to increase price, people will steal away your clients. Okay, as opposed to that, you try to reduce the price to win over the clients. So you say, okay, I will reduce it by 20 and I'll get some 20 more clients And so it will make up for the reduction in price. It doesn't. Because the moment you reduce the price, everybody else will reduce the price. So your price reduction would be from here to here, this much. Lekin just look at the change in quantity. It is from just here to here. This much change in price, this little change in quantity. So the curve is very elastic as far as the prices above prevailing price is concerned. The curve is very inelastic when the prices are less than the prevailing price. So, I mean, here it's sure that you would make losses because you will keep reducing prices and still you would not gain many clients. Here also you will make losses because you increase the price and you will lose so many clients that your business will suffer a lot. Okay, so what you do is you just stick to the prevailing price. This is another characteristic of oligopoly. The firms are stuck at the prevailing price. They cannot increase the price because they will lose the clients. And if decreasing the price means losses, they will try not to decrease. Unless, as I said, they get into this price wars and make sure that everybody becomes bankrupt. Okay, so this is the reality of oligopoly, kinked demand curve, and you are stuck at prevailing price. Okay. So now, say for example, steel industry is there. And steel industry is an oligopoly. Now in steel industry, what you find is that prices of all raw materials have increased. Iron ore is becoming very expensive, say because it is becoming lesser or whatever, or you have to import it. And labor is becoming expensive. Everything is becoming expensive. But as I said, you are stuck at the prevailing price. You can't increase the price, although you know that cost of production is increasing. So what happens is that you wait for someone to increase the price. Now, if you are a very small player and you increase the price, you will lose out all the customers because no other firm is going to notice it or react to it at all. When will they react? If there is a firm which has, say, 60% of market share. The firm with 60% market share, when it increases the price, because there is a tremendous increase in cost of production and the entire industry is facing this. So the firm which is largest would have the bravery, would have the courage to increase the price. And there is a possibility that everybody will follow with a relief, saying that, okay, fine, finally, now I can increase the price and my losses will be less. So one, prices can be increased by the largest firm, and there is a big possibility that others will follow. Two, if it is a very reputed firm, and that's why I gave you the example of steel. Tata Steel, as you know, has been established by Jamshedji Tata, the first steel plant in India. So first indigenous steel plant in India. So when Tata Steel increases the price, Tata has such positive reputation. There is so much of respect by other firms for Tata Steel that if Tata Steel takes a step, others will follow. They will not get into price war with Tata, of course, because Tata has a huge market share also, but it is a very reputed or respected firm. So this is how price leadership works. And in oligopoly, they love it if there is a price leader, because then the price leader will make sure that you are not stuck here. If the cost of production increases, you will be now able to increase the prices. Okay. So that's what I wanted to just teach in this particular part of the lecture. And I'll see you in next lecture very soon. Okay, so I'll stop sharing. And basically, as far as oligopoly is concerned, just remember all these characteristics of oligopoly so that you know how that market structure works. Okay.